Hi, I'm Ryan from Strength Products, and today we're here to talk about the Notorious Lift Sumo Sole Gen 2.5s. So the Gen 2.5s are the newest shoe, at the time of recording at least, from Notorious Lifts. They are a big change from their previous shoes. In the past, their Sumo Sole shoes had all used the same sole, whereas this new version has a completely redesigned sole to make it a little bit thinner, but still providing excellent grip. So you can see on the shoe, on the new version, that the grip only runs in one direction, so that it will only stop you from sliding forward, which is what we really need in almost any scenario, whether you're benching in them or you're pulling sumo in them. So this will actually make it easier if you're gonna squat in them. So when you're stepping back, your foot will more easily slide on the floor, allowing you to easily get in position. Whereas the older shoes had a much more knurled bottom. The old sole is significantly thicker and it has grip in both directions. So again, if you're stepping back in the squat, you're gonna catch those as you're stepping, which you get used to, I think, but it definitely stops you from sliding your foot as easily when you're walking out. The new 2.5s have a sole that's only 2.7 millimeters thick, so very thin sole, very close to the ground. There's also a removable insole in them, so if you really want to get to be as minimal as possible, you can pull that insole out, which will take another little bit away, about I'd say maybe a millimeter handling that. So that'll even get you a little close to the ground. So the other big difference in the 2.5s is that you'll notice that there's only a single strap on them. They've gone down to a single strap system, so a little bit heavier duty Velcro, feels a little more secure, and then just a single wider strap right across the midfoot with some nice markup on it with their name on the side. Going back to the older Sumo Sole Gen 1s and Sumo Sole Gen 2s. As I mentioned, they had the same sole, but the difference was the upper material. So the Sumo Sole Gen 1s, which I'll show you here, this is the Gen 1 Sumo Sole, which has this knit, more sock-like material on the top, which is actually closer to what the 2.5s have. So they have more of that knit upper, very breathable, and there's even some perforations near the toe in the 2.5 to make them even more breathable. So more of a sock-like upper and just a really soft, stretchier material. Whereas in the Sumo Sole 2s, they had what was called the Durawoven upper. So it's definitely thicker, almost like I don't want to say it's like an insulated material, but it's definitely a thicker material. I use the 2s, and like it's not my feet get hot or anything like that, but they're definitely not as breathable as the 2.5s or the 1s, but they feel a little more structured, so they have a little more support just from the material itself. So those are the big differences going from the Sumo Sole Gen 1s to the Sumo Sole 2s, and then to the 2s to the 2.5s are those major upper differences. And then also the 2.5s have this heel counter, just to give a little more support for lateral support on the heel, so the material doesn't stretch and let your heel move around. They have these installed heel counters to help you hold that heel in place. So as I mentioned before, the sole is thinner than the 2s. So this is actually very similar to the Notorious Lifters, which are their more conventional style shoes. So it's closer to that thickness. So it's a thinner sole, very similar in thickness to the Notorious Lifters, thinner than the old Sumo Sole Gen 2s. So definitely a big upgrade on that. So in training in these, I usually train in the Sumo Sole Gen 2s, but I did a session in the Gen 2.5s just to kind of feel the differences. The thicker strap definitely, to me, felt like there was a little more lateral support in the shoe. So it felt like my foot couldn't move around quite as much. So I definitely liked that. So one thing I will say is that in the original Gen 1s with the similar upper, is they recommended going a size down if you really want a tight fit, just because that upper is a little more stretchy. So I think that same thing applies here on the 2.5s. You may find yourself wanting to size down one, just to make sure that it feels really snug on the foot. So sizing on these is very similar to the Gen 2s and Gen 1s. There's a sizing chart on the page. So, but we generally recommend going with your European size if you know it. The size chart also has a standard US size you can compare to. It also does recommend measuring your foot We've had some people with issues with that, having sometimes recommending a bigger size. Generally recommend going with your US shoe size. That seems to translate pretty well for most people. All right, I think that covers all the major differences here. The 2.5s, like I said, are a very good upgrade from the 2s and the 1s before it. And like I said, more similar to that thin sole of the lifters, which people seem to really like for being as close to the ground as possible and really getting that ground feel. So great option. They're coming out with lots of interesting colorways, so keep an eye on new colorways coming out every month. And yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. If you found this video useful, like it, subscribe to our channel. We'll try and put out more videos for all our products to keep you up to date.